Welcome to Code with Kurt, the channel that brings you the latest Google Sheets and Google Apps Script videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a web app file loader. And what this is, you can take a file, load it up on the screen, and then hit load file, and this will save that file to a Google Drive directory. And on top of that, it'll also keep a record of it on a Google Sheet about the name and the file and the date of when that was uploaded. So I'll take you through an example here. So I'm going to put in a username, Steve S. I'm going to choose a file. I'm just going to do a PDF file here in this example, and I'm going to hit load file. And here it's going to do a post. It comes back and says file uploaded. We'll go check our Google Sheet. Here it has the record and the date it came in, and then we'll go to our Google Drive, and here we have it in our My Drive Files directory. I'll do another quick example. I could do a PNG file as well. Do Tom S. Choose a file. We're going to do the PNG, open that, and then save, load that up. That is loaded. Go back over here. It says that is loaded, the PNG, and now I have this. So now I got two files in my directory. So I'll take you through a step-by-step process of how I put this together. I'll also show you this file here. This is a reference I used to put this together. I'll put this URL in the description here, but this is, I basically wrote around this. This gave me the idea of putting this together and how this person was able to do this. So I used a lot of instructions from this documentation. Feel free to look at this and get some ideas of how it could be done, but most of my code was driven off this documentation here. So again, I'll show you a step-by-step process of how I put this together. I did a little bit different, but mostly the same. So if you're new to this channel, subscribe to catch my latest videos. Let's get started with this video. Here I am on my new Google Sheet spreadsheet. I got it called Upload Files Web App. I have a header record here of name, file, and date. That's the only thing I have on this sheet, and my sheet name is records. So there's no formulas, no other data but this header record here. So next I'm going to go into my script editor. I'm going to give this a name. Hit OK. Next I'm going to copy in my Google App Script code. So I have that copied. I'm going to hit save. Next I'm going to create my HTML file. I'm going to name this upload file, the same thing I got right up here, the exact same thing. So I got this upload file. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to create me a generic HTML file, and next I'm going to copy in my HTML code, and I will provide the code below the video in the comments section so you can copy and paste it as well. So I'm going to copy the HTML file code here. So I'll save that. Next we're going to create our directory of where we're going to put these files that we're uploading. So I'm going to go to my Google Drive. I'm going to right click in here, and I'm going to hit new folder. And I'm just going to call this files. You can pretty much name it anything you want. And I'm going to hit create. So now I got it here. I'm going to go in it. And as you see at the top, there's this URL address up here. And then there's this after folders, the slash. You got this 1CP there. That is my ID of my directory, and I'm going to need that. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in my Google Apps Script code, and I'll do that now. So I got this highlighted. I'm going to hit Control-C and copy it. I'm going to go back over to my Google Apps Script code, and here where it says ID of Google Drive directory, I'm going to put that right here. And that's under the do post function here, the destination ID. That's where we're going to be putting our files. So again, I'm going to hit save there, and then I'm just going to start going through this code and I'll explain how it flows. So The do get is this is what starts up the page here, this command along after I publish it to a web app. So what's going to do is it's going to go to this file, my upload file, my HTML, and it's going to render it as a template. And then with that, I'm going to pass a get variable, a get parameter of message through there. I'm going to make it blank because we're just initially loading it, so I don't have to post any messages to the screen yet. So I'm going to keep that blank, and then I'm going to return the evaluate. And evaluate pretty much does the rendering and pulls up the screen to start off with. So then basically it sends me over here to this upload file, HTML file. So first thing I'm going to go down is I'm going to explain the body here. So I got a header here inside the body. It says web app file loader. What I'm using here is the templated HTML. It's part of the HTML service that Google provides, and basically you can wrap in Google Apps Script commands inside your HTML code. So by putting these tags on it with the question mark and less than and greater, and I can call out some Google Apps Script code to get what I need, and I can also display it within the HTML. So from here, I'm trying to get the URL here, and I'm calling a function here. So I can go back to my Google Apps Script code, go down to this function. It's way on the bottom here, called get URL. And what this does is it's pulling the URL of my sheet of my HTML file when it's pulled up. It's getting that address. It's starting with the HTTP type URL, and it's bringing it in, and then I'm returning it back to my HTML. And then from here I am starting a form, and I'm doing a method of post, and I'm putting that URL in there because that's basically where I'm going to be calling that URL after I submit my form. So within this form I got a table, and basically the table is just outlining my input. So I got a table with the username that's going in, and my file here as well with the input, and the input for username and the input for file. I got a couple hidden fields here of file data, mem type, and file name, and I'll show you how I load these. I got a submit button called load file, and then I got my message down here. And again, I got this wrapped up in tags, and as I explained before, my Google Apps Script code here, when I call this initially, this is where it's coming from, this message, and I'm setting that to nothing for my first opening up the screen, and I'm displaying it down here, which will be nothing when I first load it. So this is my form of my HTML right here. So if I go up to my file, I have on changes. So basically when I select a file, it's going to call this load file, and it's going to pass the event through. So load file is a JavaScript function that I got up here, and it's this function right here. So within this function, I am grabbing the file right here with this event object coming in. I am declaring a file reader, and then as I am loading it in, I'm calling a function, again passing this object, and here comes the target result coming in. So basically what this is giving my information of my file name, my mem type, and the data that's coming in. And it's coming in as a base64 encoded file. So it's going to be a lot of letters and numbers jumbled up together. So from what's coming in, I kind of go through and get out the stuff I want from it. So the first thing I'm doing is getting the file data. And the file data is basically after a comma. So all the information is coming in together. It has my mem type and all the data I need, but I got to extract certain parts of it to get what I need to load that file into Google Drive. So I need the data, I need the mem type, and I need the file name. So the first thing I'm going after is the file data. and basically I'm setting up something where I'm looking for a comma, and then from that comma I want to get all the data after that comma, which is basically my file encoded 64 data. So that's the first thing I'm getting, and then once I get that, I am declaring it. I am sending that data as a value for my file data ID down here. So basically I'm storing that into an hidden input box. The second thing I'm doing is I'm getting the mem type. Now the mem type is stuck between a couple of things. It's stuck between my data colon and a semicolon will follow it. So I'm getting like basically the start of that, index of, and I'm getting the end of that. And then I'm doing a substring. So I'm starting there and then doing the length between the end and the start. And that's where I'm getting my mem type. And then file name comes from this file variable up here. It's an object and it does carry the name. So that was a little easier one to get. And again, this mem type and file name, I'm setting it to a value on a hidden input box down here. So this is happening right when I pick my file. This stores up. So it puts all the information in after I pick my file. Now I'll go over to this documentation. This kind of same thing. It's an upload file. He's getting the file. He's doing a file reader. He's getting the file name up here. And then he's doing an onload process here. And basically what he is doing is he's building up some HTML code here, doing the same thing, except he's doing, I did the index of and substring. He's doing this replace and match, doing some reg expressions with inside to get that. I'm not too familiar with reg expressions, but if you're very familiar with it, you know, it's probably the best way to go, but I couldn't possibly put it in my code and explain it. So again, this is what he's doing to get the data out and to get the file name. So he's loading all this HTML up, and then he's appending it to his what looks to be the body of his, or he's appending it to this div right here. So he's putting it in. So just a little different what he's doing compared to what I'm doing. But again, it's mostly the same of what he's doing and I'm doing. Just doing it a little differently. So that gets all the data from my file. And then when the file, or when the form is submitted by the button, then it does this post here. So then all this information, anything that has a name on it, is going into my Google Apps script code. So name file, my file data, my min type, my file name, all these values are coming through. So then I go over here, and now it's coming into my do post here with this E object. And then here is, I basically got a logger, so you can see how this data is coming in by going to the logs. But then now I got my directory, my destination ID set, and then from there I am setting my destination folder object here from the ID. And then here I'm decoding my base 64, sending in the file data with this parameter. Again, it's coming through this E object. And then from there I'm doing a new blob from the utilities here, and I need three things for that. I need the data, the mem type, and the file name. And then lastly, I got my destination, which is my file location, and then I'm doing the create file with the blob, and that actually puts it in the directory. And then I'm calling this list record with username and file name. Now list record function is down here. The username and file name is coming in here. Here I need to set my URL of my Google Sheet, so I'll go ahead and do that. So I'm back over here. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there. So now I have that in. And again, I'm setting my spreadsheet object. I'm getting my record sheet from my records, from the sheet name down here, records. And now I'm appending a row of data to it with username, file name, and date. so it keeps a record of what I uploaded and created. And then lastly, I am creating a template from file, my upload file, which is my HTML file. I'm going to send a message through. It says file uploaded, and then I'm going to do the evaluation. So now it's going to recycle my page, my HTML page, back over here. It's going to come back through. It's going to send this message. Instead of how I opened it, it's going to open it up and actually display a message down here. It said file uploaded. And then again, I could do the same process again where I upload a file, put my username, and load it again like I did in the example there. So that kind of concludes everything that the data and the code is doing here. So the next thing what I'll do is I will publish it. And what I'm going to do first is to get through my permissions here. I'm going to run this list record first here, over here, just to get my permissions started. So I'm going to go list record here, and I'm going to hit run. Now it's going to send me up through my permissions here. I'm going to review my permissions. I'm going to select my account. I'm going to hit advanced. I'm going to go upload file. Now I'm going to let it to create and delete on my Google Drives and also create and delete on my spreadsheet. I'm going to allow. So there it goes. Now this is going to, so we're good there. So now we can go ahead and publish. So I'm going to go publish, deploy web app. I'm going to type in new here. And I'm going to do execute app as me and only myself. I'm going to deploy. And instead of copy and pasting this, which is basically the execution file here, I'm going to do the development file here, just is easy to pull up. So it pulls up. Now I can run it. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how some of this data is flowing through here. So I'm going to go to my development tools, and I am going to choose my file, and I'll show you how this uploads here. I'm going to do the PNG one. So there's my data basically. And if you look at the beginning here, it says data image slash PNG. That's my mem type. And you see this comma here. So anything after this comma is the data in my file. So all these encoded base64. My mem type is the image slash PNG. So that's why I'm doing the index of this colon and the semicolon to get this data, and then I'm getting this data. So that's the two things of data I'm getting out of this. And then from there, I can hit load file. So it's going to refresh my screen, come back here, and I can look over here, and here I got this listed. Okay, so the first record here is where I was trying to set my permissions here, so I can get rid of that. That was just this to get my permissions set. So this is the real record that came in. I can go to my Google Drive, and here I got this. I could do another file here. Steve S. And I could do a doc. So the files that I've tested with, I've done a Word document, a doc, an Excel, a PNG, and I'm pretty sure this will do a JPEG as well, and a PDF. And I haven't really tested more files, but I'm sure there's a lot of other files it'll do, and there might be some that it just won't do. So here I'm going to test the PDF part of this as well. And again, it did the upload here. I'm going to hit load file here. It's going to show here. And now I got my two files in here. So another thing I could show you here is I can go back into here. I can go to my view logs. Go here. And I could show you the logs that are coming in on this part of the code, this logging info. So I could show you what coming into the do post. So I got my file here is one of the parameters I'm pulling. I'm also pulling the mem type here, which this was an application PDF, and then my file data. So again, those are where I'm getting my parameters, like this here, and file name, and then file data is right here as well. So just to show you an example of how the data is flowing through. So that concludes this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it below the video. Until next time.